There is such a large amount of the population that want to see more of Edward and Sophie.
Well, I think Edward and Sophie would be absolutely delighted to be more high profile. Well, they are definitely more high profile now. They're still a sort of youngish couple who are very good, and they, you know, I think Edward's got much warmer. I mean, he could be a bit sort of dull and cold in public. And didn't always want to shake hands. But now he seems to be much warmer. I think it's because he's getting enthusiasm from the crowd that he's talking to.
And there's space for them now. Duke and Duchess of Sussex aren't there.
Yeah,
you know, there's room for a couple to, you know, to excel.
When Harry and Meghan were around, there was two really high-profile couples and the King, or it was Prince of Wales then, and no one else really got a look at. There wasn't room for them then. When it was the Queen, the Prince of Wales, and then the Prince of Wales's children, and Edward and Sophie never really got a look in. They did plenty of things, but no one was that interested. Now they're higher profile, they're more visible, and they're doing more.
Talking of Harry and Meghan, again, back to the beginning, Duke and Duchess of Sussex. How do you see this marriage playing out? Because obviously, there was a huge amount of stress when they moved to America, and there was constant, you know, rumours that maybe it might not work out. But they're still going strong. You know, we spoke earlier about they've still got plans that they're both working on for new Netflix shows, so they've still got ideas. Are you surprised that you know, the naysayers have been proved wrong, that the marriage still is, they still are together and they still are living in California? And how do you see this marriage playing out? Will we have a 25th wedding anniversary or a 19th wedding anniversary, as we do with the King and Queen, with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
I really don't know that. But, I mean, everyone said, oh, this marriage isn't going to last. You're right, they did. But you know, Matt, you know a little bit about this because you've been out in California. I think, my opinion, and I think I think Harry has got an obsessive love for Meghan. And I don't think he would ever leave her. And, you know, she's in control. And as long as she remains in control, I think she's happy. So I think the marriage is I think they're very happy. And who wouldn't be happy living in that gorgeous house? As that, you know, they've got two lovely children. They don't, I mean, I know they're not popular in this country, but does that really worry them? I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Well, no, you're right. I did go to California last summer because there was lots of reports and lots of rumours that you know, there was trouble in paradise. So there was lots of online comments, lots of people on Twitter and stuff like that. So we did look into it, and all we could fathom out was that there were just lots of claims. So it was always the case with rumours, where you hear rumours, but once you actually dig into it, there didn't seem to be any real kind of key source that could say there's always rumours that Harry was staying in a hotel here.
Yes, that was very strange, yeah.
But it really did snowball, and a lot of people were talking about it. So I did pop out and have a look, and I couldn't really find any evidence of that. And it was pointed out that they have a huge sprawling mansion with guest houses. So if they did want to live apart, they could just live apart on the house. But I found no evidence of them living apart. What I was told was that, just like any kind of normal marriage, they have arguments or disagreements about how to bring up the children. Meghan wants the children to have more of a kind of life in California, wants them to be more visible, whereas Prince Harry, it's what I was told, was more worried about them getting photographed, doesn't want them to, you know, to be taken pictures by the paparazzi.
Harry's really paranoid about that, isn't he? But of course, the sad thing is that they are not getting to know their cousins or their grandfather. And I think that's very sad. And I don't know what will happen. But you see, I think that when Archie is older, he's going to want to know his cousins, and they're certainly going to want to know him because he's going to be very glamorous, a really cool Californian kid. And they're desperately going to want to know them, and they're going to want to go there and see them. So anything could happen.
Do you think, just thinking, we've got, at the end of May, I think we've got the Invictus ceremony at St Paul's. So it's a 10-year anniversary. So I've asked, will the Duke and Duchess of Sussex come, and they haven't finalised their plans yet. Do you think Harry and Meghan will attend? They could bring their children. That would be quite a momentous occasion. I mean, they bring their children for the first time since Platinum Jubilee, get to meet the King and stuff like that. Do you think people will welcome them to come for this 10-year anniversary of Invictus?
I think they desperately want Harry there. And of course, people are fascinated. We haven't seen the children. Well, not certainly over here, we haven't seen what the... I think people would be absolutely fascinated. And certainly it would be nice for King Charles to see them. But apparently, Harry won't come here unless he's given an absolute guarantee that he's going to have royal security, not just Metropolitan Police security, royal security, and that his business with the Home Office is going to be sorted out. But you can't make demands on His Majesty's government like that. So I don't know what will happen. I mean, maybe that's another rumour.
Another rumour. Well,
but it makes sort of sense, doesn't it?
One thing that isn't a rumour, and, you know, if we're talking about royal relationships and marriages, one thing that could potentially split people up is Harry's visa row. Have you been able to see this week there was a think tank that's managed to persuade the US government to show a judge Prince Harry's visa application. Now, obviously, the argument here is that to get a US visa, you have to confess about your drug taking, and then you will be refused a US visa if you've taken lots of drugs. And he's obviously in spare. He is detailed in great detail and interviews as well about his, taking psychedelic drugs, cocaine, smoking cannabis, a long period of his life. This could end up with Donald Trump looking at this visa application, or and wondering whether Harry should be allowed into the United States. This could potentially blow up in Duke and Duchess of Sussex's face if there is a visa problem.
Well, you're one step ahead of me, Matt, as you always are, of course, and should be. I didn't know that had just come... I mean, I read it, obviously, earlier on, but I didn't know that had just come up again. But if Trump doesn't get in, what can Trump do? I think it's... I don't know. I mean, I know about the drugs and the American visa, but Harry's lawyer could say, and I think has said, well, you don't believe everything you read in books. He was, he can blame it. He could blame it on his ghostwriter. There's going to be lots of interesting ways to see if he can get out of all that drug business. But maybe he can't. I mean, he could be deported.
He could be deported. He
could be deported, but who would want to be responsible for doing that? I don't know. It's a very interesting case.
Well, I say Donald Trump could win at the end. Could win could become president, and he's already voiced his dislike of Prince Harry.
Yes, I don't think it would be good for Harry and Meghan at all if Trump became president. But I mean, he's not going to want to injure the royal family, is he? Really? I mean, I think he's. Well, we know. I think we know he's a lot of mouth and not always much action.